It's right about time to bring you up to speed with what's happening globally and in Nigeria. With climate crisis, PNG evacuates villages after landslide, fading hopes. Canada increases visas fivefold for Palestinians in Gaza. Pakistan swelters as temperatures exceed 52 degrees Celsius. Trump prepares for final phase of historic criminal trial. And Cyclone Ramal kills 17, evacuates over 1 million in South Asia. Talking climate crisis, a United Nations official has said hopes are fading in Papua New Guinea's Enga province that an approximated 2,000 people buried by a landslide will be found alive. It is not a rescue mission, it is a recovery mission. It is very unlikely they will have survived, UNICEF Papua New Guinea's Neil Currier said. The UN's Children's Agency later said around 40% of those affected were children under the age of 16 who had been deeply traumatized by what had happened, and that it was increasing its relief efforts. Rescue efforts at the site of the landslide on Mount Mungalo have been led by local residents, several of whom lost their whole families in the landslide, which wiped out an entire hillside community at about 3 a.m. on Friday. A couple survived the calamity in a miracle. Only 6 bodies have been recovered, while Papua New Guinea's National Disaster Center approximates as numerous as 2,000 people have yet to be accounted for. The landslide also wiped out vegetable gardens and roads, hampering rescue efforts and leaving villagers worried about finding enough to eat as they search for their loved ones. Enga Provincial Administrator Sandy Saka said people are digging with their hands and fingers on Tuesday. Fears are also increasing for nearby villages as the ground continues to shift. Local authorities are now trying to evacuate 7,900 people to avoid any further loss of life, he added. On Tuesday morning, Saka spoke at an emergency online meeting organized by the United Nations with foreign governors and governments and asked for quick assistance to deal with the landslide risk, manage the response and ensure the rapid delivery of supplies. He acknowledged that PNG, one of the Asia Pacific's poorest countries, was not equipped to deal with the scale of the tragedy. It is unclear how many people were living in the hillside community in dense tropical rainforest when the landslide hit. The last official census was 24 years ago. The population of the small roadside community had reportedly increased in recent months and years. Glenn Banks, professor of geography at Te Konengaki Puruhura Massey University in New Zealand, said people had moved to the area in the hopes of finding gold in the open pit and waste dumps of the nearby Progera gold mine, said Banks, whose research focuses on mining in Papua New Guinea, PNG. Now, Canada has announced a fivefold addition in visas for Palestinians seeking to join their family members in the country. On Monday, Mark Miller, Minister of Immigration, said that Ottawa will raise to 5,000 the number of visas offered to residents in Gaza under a special program announced in December. We remain deeply concerned about the humanitarian tragedy unfolding in Gaza. Many people are worried about their loved ones and have expressed significant interest in the temporary special measures we introduced for the extended family in Gaza, Miller said in a statement, adding that the government is working to help Palestinians trying to leave Gaza, but that movement out of the territory is currently not possible due to factors outside Ottawa's control. Gaza residents who wish to join family in Canada must obtain approval from Israeli authorities to leave the territory before undergoing biometric screening in Egypt. Earlier this month, Israel's military seized control of Gaza's side of the Rafah border crossing with Egypt as part of its offensive in the southern city. The announcement came as Canadian Minister of Foreign Affairs Melanie Joly joined a chorus of international condemnation following a deadly airstrike on a camp for displaced Palestinians in Rafah. According to Gaza's Ministry of Health, at least 45 people, including 23 women, children and elderly, were killed and 249 others injured in the attack on the tent camp. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the civilian deaths were a tragic mistake and the incident is being investigated. Back to climate crisis. In Pakistan's southern province of Sindh, temperatures rose above 52 degrees Celsius, that's 125.6 degrees Fahrenheit, the highest reading of the summer and close to the country's record high amid an ongoing heat wave, the Met Office said on Monday. A team of international scientists have said severe temperatures throughout Asia over the past month were made worse, most likely as a result of human-driven climate change. In Mohenjo-Daro, a town in Sindh, town for archaeological sites that date back to the Indus Valley civilization built in 2500 BC, temperatures rose as high as 52.2 degrees Celsius, 126 degrees Fahrenheit over the last 24 hours, a senior official of the Pakistan Meteorological Department, Sahid Abbas, said according to report. The reading is the highest of the summer so far and approached the town's and country's record highs of 53.5 degrees Celsius, 128.3 degrees Fahrenheit, and 54 degrees Celsius, 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit, respectively. Mohenjo-Daro is a small town that experiences severe hot summers and mild winters and low rainfall, but its limited markets, including bakeries, tea shops, mechanics, electronic repair shops, and fruit and vegetable sellers are usually bustling with customers. But with the present heat wave, shops are seeing almost no footfall. The highest temperature recorded in Pakistan was in 2017, when temperatures rose to 54 degrees Celsius, that's 129 degrees Fahrenheit, in the city of Turbat, located in the southwestern province of Balochistan. This was the second hottest in Asia and fourth highest in the world, said Sadar Saforis, chief meteorologist at the Pakistan Meteorological Department. The heat wave will subside in Mohenjo-Daro and surrounding areas, but another spell is expected to hit other areas in Sindh, including the capital, Karachi, Pakistan's largest city. Now to judicial matters. On Tuesday, Donald Trump's first criminal trial has arrived at its dramatic final act, with lawyers for both sides primed to hammer home their cases before jurors consider a verdict that could make history. The summations mark the climax of a trial that began over a month ago. They are anticipated to last all day Tuesday and could stretch into the following day on Wednesday. After Judge Juan Merchan instructs jurors on the law, Trump and the rest of the country will be held in suspense to see whether he will become the first ex-president and presumptive GOP nominee to be convicted of a crime after allegedly falsifying financial records to hide a hush money payment to an adult film star in 2016. The verdict will echo far beyond the courtroom and Trump's personal life, since the case has become intertwined with his bid to reclaim the White House. The stakes are especially high since this is likely to be the only one of 4 pending criminal trials expected to go to a jury before November's election. The former president appeared to be in a bitter mood on the eve of his return to the courtroom, lashing out at opponents he called human scum in a message on social media marking Memorial Day. Trump's defense team is trying to spare their client the embarrassment of a conviction that will stain his reputation. The ex-president's lead lawyer, Todd Blanche, is anticipated to zero in on the incredibility of Trump's former fixer-turned-nemesis, Michael Cohen, who endured a bruising cross-examination, and to ask why all the key figures in the ex-president's business and personal orbit were not called by prosecutors, report said. Joshua Stinglass, who is conducting closing arguments for the prosecution, will follow Blanche and is expected to spend many hours taking the jury through text messages, phone logs, other witnesses' testimony, and the 34 allegedly falsified documents to corroborate Cohen's testimony. Ultimately, the team working for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, will try to convince 7 men and 5 women jurors that Trump orchestrated a scheme to keep unflattering information from voters in what was an eagerly example of election interference. Trump has denied having an affair with Stormy Daniels and has pleaded not guilty. His lawyers do not have to convince all of the jury that he's innocent. They need only one juror to stand firm against the unanimous guilty verdict required to convict. Again, on climate crisis, no less than 17 people have died in India and Bangladesh after tropical cyclone Ramon lashed the area with torrential rain and heavy winds. Local officials said 10 people died in various districts of Bangladesh, while at least 7 were killed in the southern Indian state of Telangana. On Tuesday, the Indian Meteorological Department said Ramon weakened into a depression over East Bangladesh after losing some force earlier on Monday. It caused wide-scale damage in both countries, toppling trees, turning roads into rivers, and leaving millions without electricity. Over 1 million people in India and Bangladesh were evacuated on Sunday as the cyclone made landfall near the border between the two countries. Authorities said volunteers and army staff were mobilized to help with cleanup efforts and distribute food and water to displaced families. The Indian Meteorological Department said Ramon made landfall roughly 80 kilometers, 50 miles southeast of the Indian city of Kolkata, packing gusts up to 135 kilometers per hour, 85 miles per hour, and is moving northwards across Bangladesh and its adjoining West Bengal coast. The storm weakened after it hit the coast with wind speeds of up to 115 kilometers per hour, that's 71 miles per hour. Ramal is expected to dump over 89 millimeters, that's 3.5 inches of rain, and bring wind-driven storm surges of 2.5 to 3.7 meters to the coast of the Bay of Bengal, according to weather reports. The maritime ports of Mongla and Pera in Bangladesh put up the great danger signal to 10, the highest alert signal, on Sunday, and all fishing and boating vessels were advised to remain in shelter by the Bangladesh Meteorological Department. Around 2 million people live in storm-affected areas in Bangladesh, according to Not Profits Bragg. At least 500,000 of these people live in houses made of materials such as clay, wood, plastic sheet, straw, or tin, said Dr. Laikoth Ali, a disaster expert at Bragg. The country is one of the world's most vulnerable to the impacts of the climate crisis, according to studies. Millions are without power as authorities shut down electricity supply to many areas in advance to avoid accidents, according to Ali. Falling trees and broken lines disrupted supply, he said. An especially vulnerable group are the stateless Rohingya communities who fled persecution in nearby Myanmar during a military crackdown in 2017. They are already living in the world's largest refugee camps in Cox's Bazar, which is at risk of landslides and floods owing to the flimsy structure of their shelters. Many live in bamboo and tarpaulin shelters perched on hilly slopes that are vulnerable to strong winds, rain, and landslide. On more stories still on climate crisis, severe weather cuts power to thousands of Americans. Tornadoes and devastating thunderstorms have left closely 300,000 residents across 7 states without power as of Monday night. Huge storms killed at least 23 people over the weekend and left a path of destruction across the central United States. Forecasters said the greatest weather risk has shifted east, covering a broad sweep of the country from Alabama to New York. More thunderstorms, destroying wind gusts, hail, and flash flooding are anticipated. Heavy rain is expected to batter the East Coast into Tuesday morning, including parts of New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland, and the National Weather Service. This excessive rain will bring with it a slight risk of extreme thunderstorms developing over parts of the northeast to the southeast of the U.S., according to the agency. On Tuesday, the NWS has also forecast that severe thunderstorms could develop over Texas, where wind gusts could reach 120 kilometers per hour or even greater. Intense heat will also continue in parts of U.S. South, with record or near record high temperatures expected. On Monday morning, over 120 million Americans woke to severe weather warnings. Sunday was the busiest extreme weather day in the United States so far this year, with over 600 reports of storm damage across 20 states. Twisters and heavy winds reduced buildings to piles of rubble, flipped cars, and brought down power lines. Meanwhile, lightning, thunder, and heavy rain forced the evacuation of around 125,000 spectators as Sunday's Indianapolis 500 race was delayed by 4 hours. where the deaths were reported in numerous states, including 8 in Arkansas, 7 in Texas, 2 in Oklahoma, and 5 in Kentucky. In Alabama, a 79-year-old woman was killed on Monday morning after a tree fell into her home, according to local reports. President Joe Biden spoke with the governors of each state affected by the storms and offered federal assistance. On Monday, Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear declared a state of emergency after storms pummeled much of the state. Texas Governor Greg Abbott said over a third of counties were subject to a disaster declaration after extreme weather plowed through the state. All of the state's 7 deaths were reported in Valley View in Cook County, Texas, near the Oklahoma border after a tornado hit a rural area near a mobile home park. Still on weather and climate crisis, Somalia floods displaced thousands, submerged schools. Tens of thousands of students in Somalia's central Hiran region have been forced to stay out of schools after heavy rains flooded the institutions. Over 37,000 students in this region in central Somalia are no longer in school due to the effect of a recent flooding. The area has been battered by heavy rains, resulting in extreme flooding in schools, according to Somali education officials. Parents are worried about how the disruption of education will affect their children's performance in the upcoming national examinations, and the floods are raised worried of local teachers about the long-term effect on the education. Parents of the affected students have been appealing to the government to intervene. The Somali government last year organized special exams after similar incidents of flooding disrupted the exam timetable. Officials say they will do all they can to help. Mustafa Osman Mahmoud, Director of Education of the Beledweyne district in Somalia, said the students in this region always have the worry of not taking part in the examination exercise despite hard work and preparation due to the flood havoc. We hope that will not happen again this year. Away from all the weather and climate crisis, after the short break, I'll bring you stories from Nigeria. Don't go anywhere. You're welcome back. Now stories from Nigeria. Let's begin with federal government indefinitely suspends Air Nigeria project. Festus Keyamo, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, said the federal government has suspended the Air Nigeria airline project indefinitely, announcing on a Monday at the ministerial briefing to mark the first year of President Bola Tinubu's administration. The minister said the airline was never a Nigerian airline, but an effort to use a foreign airline to pose as a Nigerian national airline. He further noted that the proposed national carrier, which was supposed to be an indigenous project and one that was supposed to spur hope for Nigerians, was flawed with a lot of secrecy and fraudulent activities. Keyamo, while speaking further on his achievements, confirmed that all stock funds of foreign airlines have been cleared. On the steps so far taken to boost economic development in the aviation sector, the minister emphasized the commencement of cargo flights, noting that it will enable Nigeria to tap into the $6 trillion global cargo market. And finally, on the news, court orders Bayaru's eviction from palace. The High Court of Kano State has ordered the Commissioner of Police in the state to evict deposed Emir Aminu Ado Bayaru from the mini palace in Nasarawa area of the Kano metropolis. The court also issued an interim injunction stopping the deposed Emir of Kano, Aminu Ado Bayaru, from parading himself as the Emir of Kano. Honorable Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu of the High Court, number 7 on Mila Road, Kano, delivered the orders. The orders were sought by the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Speaker of Kano State House of Assembly, and the State House of Assembly in a suit against Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayaru and the 4 other deposed emirs, including Alhaji Nasiru Ado Bayaru, Dr. Ibrahim Abubakar II, Alhaji Kabiru Mohammed Inwa, and Alhaji Aliyu Ibrahim Gaya. The order reads that an order is hereby granted to the extent that the Commissioner of Police Kano State should immediately take over the palace of the Emir of Kano situate Bain and Line at State Road, Kano, and evict the one defendant / respondent from the said palace pending the hearing and determination of the motion on notice dated 24th May 2024. The court adjourned the hearing of the motion on notice to June 11th, 2024. According to a report, after signing the Kano State Emirate Council Law 2024, which dissolved 4 new emirates in the state and restored Kano Emirate to its pre-2019 status on Thursday, Governor Abba Yusuf issued a reappointment letter to Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II on Friday as the new Emir of Kano and ordered the emirs affected by the new law to evacuate their palaces within 48 hours. However, the State Police Command on Saturday vowed to enforce an interim order of the Federal High Court sitting in Kano, which is against Sanusi II's reinstatement. Embattled Emir Bayero has remained in Nasarawa Mini Palace with heavy presence of security personnel, while Emir Sanusi II is operating from the main palace secured by vigilantes and local hunters, a development that has put the commercial city on the edge since on Saturday. Another look at the top stories. Papua New Guinea PNG evacuates villages after landslide, fading hopes. Canada increases visas fivefold for Palestinians in Gaza. Pakistan swelters as temperatures exceed 52 degrees Celsius. Trump prepares for final phase of historic criminal trial. And Cyclone Remote kills 17, evacuates over 1 million in South Asia. And that's all on the news. Thanks for watching. I am Lois Turek.